Welcome to Millennium Day Time Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Defiant Trump and official vow to stay course as countries scramble over tariffs. Le Pen vows to fight political ruling as France's main parties stage rival rallies. Palestinian American teen shot dead by Israeli settlers, officials say. Macron calls for strong action if Russia continues to refuse peace. Iran rejects meaningless direct talk with the United States after Trump's bombing threat. PM Modi inaugurates new Pamban Bridge, India's first vertical lift sea bridge. Saudi Arabia bans visa for 14 nations including India, Pakistan over HUD safety issues. Global markets in turmoil, stock plunge while investors flee to safe haven commodities. Premier League, Manchester City held by Manchester United in Derby stalemate. Controversy hit IPL 2025 as fans slammed third umpire call during SRH vs Gujarat Titan game. Now let's look at the details. US President Donald Trump and his advisors have defended sweeping tariff on import and vote to stay the course despite the market turmoil and calls to avoid a trade war. Also, in a series of television interviews, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also played down recent stock market falls, and Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, insisted reciprocal tariffs that would be implemented as planned. Bessent said that there was no reason to expect a recession as a result of the turmoil. Also, this is an adjustment process, he said. Meanwhile, another top advisor, Kevin Hessen, said that more than 50 countries have contacted Trump to try to negotiate a deal with him. Also, all three major stock indexes in the United States plunged more than 5% on Friday, while S&P 500 dropped almost 6% in the worst week for the United States stock market since 2020. In a sign market fragility could also continue to the week, Saudi Arabia's stock exchanges that trades on the Sundays ended nearly 7% lower than its biggest daily loss since the pandemic. Also, the US banking giant JP Morgan has also predicted a 60% chance of a US and global recession following Trump's tariff announcements. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One on Sunday evening, Trump said European and Asian countries are dying to make a deal. Also, he also has pushed back against a reporter's inquiry about Americans' consumer plane and threshold plan as fears of a steep price increase and a market recession is growing bad. I think your question is so stupid, the told reporters. Also, I don't think that anyone is going down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. Challenged about the turmoil, Lutnick told CBS News on Sunday that the 10% baseline tariff on all imports, which came into effect a day earlier, will definitely stay in place for days and weeks. Lutnick went on to say to the steeper reciprocal tariff that was still on track, high consumer, also the custom tariffs, roughly 60 countries dubbed the worst offenders that are due to come into effect on Wednesday, 9th of April. When asked about these tariffs, Lutnick said that they were coming. Trump announced it and he wasn't kidding, he said. Lutnick also defended tariff imposed on the two tiny Antarctic islands populated only by penguins, saying that it was closed loopholes for countries such as China to ship through. Bessent used an interview with the Meet the Press that NBC that argue that Trump had created maximum leverage for himself and more than 50 countries have approached the administration about lowering their non-tariff trade barriers, lowering their tariffs, stopping currency manipulation. Kevin, another top economic advisor, also repeated the claim that more than 50 countries had expressed expressed a desire to begin negotiations. Neither Hassett nor Besant have given further details about the countries that have been in touch with them. The French far-right leader Marine Le Pen has told supporters in Paris she would fight a political, not a judicial ruling that could bar her from the next presidential election, as a rival rally denounced an existential threat to the rule of law after her conviction for the embezzling of the public funds. The decision has trampled on everything I hold most dear, my people, my country and my honor, the figurehead of the national rally, that is Aaron, told a crowd of flag-waving supporters as the country's three main political movements staged event in the Paris. Also speaking from the temporary stage in front of the Hotel Das with the party 120 members of the parliament behind her, Le Pen said that she would not give up and she was a victim of a witch hunt, adding that it is who we are and the most ardent defender of the rule of law. But speaking at the left-wing rally a few kilometers away from the Place de République, the Green Party leader Marine also said that Le Pen's defense amounted to a total conspiracy theory and a full-blown attack on the judicial independence. This is about more than Marine Le Pen, also she said. It's about defending the rule of law from people who think justice is optional. For everyone else, she wants tough justice, tolerance zero, jail for the first offense. For her, it's too tough. Also, Manuel Bompard of the radical left Friends, that is on board LFI party, told the rally that Aaron's mask has slipped after years of trying to clean up its image and pose as a future party of the government. It's dangerous for democracy, dangerous for the rule of law, he said. Also, police said 7,000 people were at the Aaron rally and 5,000 at the left-wing rival. The three-time presidential candidate and front-runner to succeed Emmanuel Macron was found guilty on Monday for embezzling more than euro 5 million and of the European Parliament that funds to pay the Aaron party workers in France, also through a vast fake job scams. Le Pen was sentenced to 4 years in prison, of which 2 were suspended and 2 more also served with an electronic bracelet that is fined for the dural olo. The Paris appeal courts has said that it will deliver a verdict on her case by the next summer, potentially allowing her to contest the 2027 presidential race if her conviction is overturned, which is seen as unlikely, or the ban on the running for the public office lifted. The ruling, which followed a 10-year investigation and a 9-week trial, has dramatically shaken up the political landscape and been fiercely attacked by a far-right politicians in France and beyond as politically motivated and anti-democratic. Also, Jordan Bardella, the Aaron's 29-year-old president and Le Pen's likely replacement if she remains ineligible, told cheering Aaron voters that it was not just Marine Le Pen who was being unjustly condemned, but French democracy that has been put to death. The court's decision would go down as a dark day in our nation's history, he said, a direct attack on our democracy, a wound for millions of patriots, and also an attempt to deprive us of the free choice to wipe from the scene an entire part of France. Speaking before the rally, Le Pen, whose vote share in the presidential first round was put at 36% by one poll on Sunday, far ahead of all rivals, said the Aaron would follow the example of Martin Luther King's struggle, who defended the civil rights. A Palestinian teenager with a United States citizenship was killed by the Israeli forces in the West Bank town of Turmus Aya, the Palestinian officials have said on Sunday. Also, with the Israeli military saying that it has shot a terrorist who was allegedly endangering the civilians by hurling rocks, the incident is the latest in the surge of the violence and the near-daily confrontation in the volatile West Bank, where the settler violence and the clashes between the Israeli forces and armed Palestinians have kept it on the edge. The mayor of the Turmus Aya, Adib, told reporters that earlier in the day that there was the Omar Mohammed Rabia, the 14-year-old, who was shot along with the other 2 teenagers by an Israeli settler at the entrance to the Turmus Aya, and that the Israeli army pronounced him dead after detaining him. However, the Palestinian Foreign Ministry condemned the incident as an extrajudicial killing by the Israeli Israeli forces during a raid in the town, saying it was the result of Israel's continued impunity. During a counter-terrorism activity in the area of Turmus Aya, the IDF soldiers identified 3 terrorists who hurled rock towards the highway, thus endangering the civilian driving. Also, the army said in the statement that the soldiers opened fire towards the terrorists who were endangering civilians, eliminating 1 terrorist and hitting 2 additional terrorists. Settler violence in the West Bank, including the incursions into the occupied territory and raids on the Bedouin villages and the encampments, has intensified since Israel war on Gaza began in October 2023. European countries and the previous US administration under Joe Biden imposed sanctions on violent Israeli settlers, though the White House under Donald Trump removed those sanctions. The Israeli military has also in recent months carried what it called a large-scale military operation in the West Bank to root out militants. Militant group Hamas, based in Gaza, has over recent years expanded its reach in the Western Bank, and where the Palestinian Authority, dominated by the rival Fatah faction, exercises limited governments. French President Emmanuel Macron on Sunday called for strong action if Russia continued to refuse peace deal, days after a Russian ballistic missile killed 9 children in the Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky's hometown. Also, despite the United States and European Union efforts to secure a peace deal in Ukraine, Russia continued to murder 9 children and civilians. Also, the Macron said, "My thoughts are with the children and all the civilian victims of the bloody attack carried out by Russia, including on April 4th in the Kryvyi Rih," Macron said on the X platform in French and Ukrainian. Also, a ceasefire is needed as soon as possible and strong action if Russia continues to try to buy time and refuse peace deals. On Friday, a missile attack on the central Ukrainian city of Kryvyi Rih killed 20 people, including 9 children. The youngest victim was a 3-year-old boy. The missile struck a residential area near a children's playground. Also, Macron said that even though Ukraine accepted US President Donald Trump's proposal for a complete ceasefire and European countries were also working to secure peace, Russia is continuing the war with the renewed intensity with no regard for the civilians. Zelensky said on Sunday that Moscow was increasing its aerial bombardment after Russia mounted a massive missile and drone attack on the Ukraine overnight, killing 2 people. The pressure on Russia is still insufficient, he added. We'll have to see how the story unfolds in a couple of more days. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Sunday rejected direct negotiation with the United States as meaningless after the US President Donald Trump said he would prefer direct talk with the Islamic Republic. Also, Trump had called last month on Tehran to hold negotiation on its nuclear program with Washington, but threatened to bomb Iran if diplomacy fails. On Thursday, the US President Donald Trump said that he would prefer to hold direct talk with Iran. "I think it goes faster and you understand the other side a lot better than you if you don't do the intermediate and intermediary discussions." That is what he argued. But on Sunday, Araghchi said that direct negotiations would be meaningless with a party that constantly threatens to resort to force in violation of the United Nations Charter and that expresses contradictory position from its various officials. "We remain committed to diplomacy and are ready to try the path of indirect negotiations," he added, according to the Foreign Ministry statement. Also, Iran keeps itself prepared for all possible or probable events, and just as it is serious in diplomacy and negotiations, it will be decisive and serious in defending its national interest and sovereignty, Araghchi said. Also on Saturday, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian also said that his country was willing to engage in dialogue with the United States on equal footing. Also, he has questioned Washington's sincerity in calling for the negotiation, saying, "If you want negotiation, then what is in the point of threatening us?" The nuclear program, Western countries led by the United States have for decades accused Tehran of seeking to acquire nuclear weapons. Also, Iran rejects the allegation and maintains that its nuclear activities exist solely for the civilian purposes. On Saturday, Hossein Salami, the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, also said that the country was ready for the war. "We are not worried about the war at all. We will not be the initiators of the war, but we are ready for the war." And also the official IRA news agency claimed these reports. In the 2015, Iran reached a landmark deal with the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, namely United States, France, China, Russia, and the United Kingdom, as well as Germany, to regulate its nuclear activities. In the 2025, also, we are ready for the deals, but the 2015 agreement, that formally known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan for the Action that gave large Iran. In 2018, during Trump's first term in the office, the United States withdrew from the agreement and reinstated biting sanctions on Iran. Also, a year later, Iran began rolling back on its commitment under the agreement and accelerated its nuclear program. On Monday, Ali Larijani, a close advisor to the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, warned that while Iran was not seeking nuclear weapons, it would have no choice but to do so in the event of attack against it. We'll have to see how the issues unfold in a couple of more days and weeks to come. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday inaugurated the new Pamban Bridge, the country's first vertical lift sea bridge in the Tamil Nadu, on the occasion of Ram Navami. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has flagged off a Coast Guard ship which passed under the bridge and the new Rameshwaram Thambaram, that is Chennai train. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who arrived in the Tamil Nadu after 3-day visit to Sri Lanka, also performed a puja at the Rama Natham Swami temple in the Rameshwaram and laid the foundation stone of various rail and road projects worth over rupees 8,300 crore in the state. Also, according to the Ministry of Railway, the 2.07 kilometer long bridge spanning the Palk Strait in the Tamil Nadu stands as a testament to India's engineering prowess and visionary infrastructure development. Located in Ramanathpuram district, the bridge connects Rameshwaram Island with the Mandapam on the mainland, also built at the cost of over 700 crore by the Rail Vikas Nigam, that is RVNL, a Navratan PSU under the Ministry of Railway. The bridge features 72.5 meter navigational span that can be vertically lifted to 17 meters, allowing ship to pass below the safety. Also, the bridge can also support 2 railway tracks and the tracks that can currently operate on a single line, and it is cleared for the train speed up to 80 kilometers per hour and is also built to handle increased railway traffic and heavier loads. According to the government releases, the new bridge has a projected lifespan of 100 years. It has been constructed with a special engineering technique that reduces the need for frequent maintenance and use less stainless steel enforcement. Also, fully welded joints, high-grade protective paint and a polysiloxane coating to protect against the corrosion in the harsh marine environment. The Pamban Bridge is being compared to the famous one like the Golden Gate Bridge in the United States of America, Tower Bridge in the UK, and the Øresund Bridge above beyond the Denmark and Sweden because of its modern design and technology. Also, the old Pamban Bridge was built in 1914 by the British engineers. It used a manually operated Scarser span, a type of rolling lift bridge. Also, the pass was over and shut to the rail traffic due to the safety concerns. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also witnesses Ram Setu on the way back to Sri Lanka. Prime Minister also witnessed the Ram Setu and shared an aerial video. On the way back from Sri Lanka a short while ago, Wo blessed was also the darshan of the Ram Setu that he did, and as a divine confidence, it happened at the same time as the Surya Tilak was taking place in Ayodhya. Blessed with the darshan of both, Prabhu Shri Ram is uniting force for all of us. May his blessing always remain upon us, he wrote on the X platform. Ram Setu, also known as the Adams Bridge, is a chain of shoals linking India and Sri Lanka. It stretches 48 kilometers between Rameshwaram Island of the coast of the connecting Mannar Island in the Sri Lanka. It separates the Gulf of Mannar, the south, and inlet of the Indian Ocean from the Palk Strait, that is on the north, and inlet of the Bay of Bengal. Saudi Arabia has temporarily suspended issuing of certain visa to people from 14 countries including India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Also, the ban will last until the mid-June, around the time when this year's Hajj pilgrimage concludes. The visa suspension include Umrah visas as well as the business and family visit visas. Saudi authorities have taken the step to prevent individuals from trying to perform Hajj without proper registration. Officials have stated that many foreign nationals have been entering the country on the Umrah or visit visas and then overstaying illegally to participate in the Hajj without official authorization. Also, the Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, that is MBS, has also instructed authorities to enforce stricter visa regulation to guarantee the smooth and secure conduct of the Hajj pilgrimage. As part of this initiative, foreign nationals will be allowed to apply for Umrah visa only until April 13. After this deadline, no new Umrah visas will be issued until Hajj ends. The 14 countries impacted by this ban are also India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, Egypt, Indonesia, Iraq, Nigeria, Jordan, Algeria, Sudan, Ethiopia, Tunisia, Yemen, and also one additional country that has not been clearly identified in the reports. This measure follows the tragic events of 2024 where over 1,000 people lost their lives during Hajj, many of whom were authorized pilgrims. Overcrowding and extreme heat made the situation worse. The Saudi authorities believe that restricting unregistered pilgrims from participating in the Hajj will also reduce the risk and would protect lives. We'll have to see how the issues unfold in a couple of more days. Now bringing you latest updates on today's market trends. Global equity markets suffered steep losses today with the major indices across the North and the South America experiencing a broad-based sell-off amid the heightened investor anxiety. In the United States, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted 2.203, that is 2,231 points or 5%, closing at 38,000, while the S&P 500 dropped by 9.6%. Also, the tech-heavy Nasdaq tumbled 5.82% to reach 15,000. These sharp declines reflect growing concern over the combination of factors including the inflationary pressures, interest rate uncertainty and potential earning disappointments. The Russell 2000, which tracked the smaller cap companies, has also hit hard, falling 4.37% to reach 1,800. Also, and the contrast with the CBOE, the volatility index, that is the VIX index, often referred to as the market, the fear gauge, has surged 50.93 points to reach 45.31 in its highest spike in the months, signaling a dramatic increase in the market volatility and risk aversion. Investors appear to be rapidly shifting out of equities and into the safer assets for the hedging their portfolios in anticipation of further turbulence. The sell-off extended beyond US borders. Canadian markets were deeply in the red, with the S&P TSX Composite Index falling 4.69% and the S&P TSX 60 down 4.44%, reflecting a widespread retreat from the risk across the sector, including the finance, energy and other materials. Also, the Latin America market that has also faced significant pressure. The Brazil's Bovespa index sank nearly 2.96%, losing over 3,800 points, while the Chile's S&P IPSA and Mexico's S&P BMV IPC dropped 2.79% and 4.87% respectively. Today's market action also underscores rising unease among investors who are grappling with the tightening of the financial condition, geopolitical tensions and a general loss of confidence in the near term and the economic instability. With the VIX speaking sharply, the key global indices shedding billions in the market value, sentiment has clearly shifted into the defensive mode. The coming days will be critical in determining whether this is a short-term correction or the start of a deeper, more prolonged downturn. Commodity market reflected a day of divergence with the significant movements observed across the energy, metal and agricultural sectors. Energy commodity faced strong headwinds, leading the day losses. Also, WTI crude oil declined by 2.15% to settle at $60, while the Brent crude oil dropped 2.21% to reach $64. These declines come amid the persistent concern about slowing the global economic activity, reduced fuel fuel demand and increasing inventories in the major consuming nations. Additionally, geopolitical tensions and uncertainty surrounding the OPEC Plus production strategy continues to weigh heavily on the investor sentiment in the energy space. Natural gas followed the suit, slipping 1.64% to reach $3.77. Though still with a relatively stable range, it remains vulnerable to the seasonal demand shift and the fluctuating storage data. In contrast, the metal segment painted a more optimistic picture. Gold advanced 1.10% to reach $3,000, maintaining its strong position near the also the 52 weeks range. Investors appear to be rotating into the safe haven asset amid mounting concern over the inflationary pressures, currency volatility, and broader macroeconomic stability. The silver posted the strongest gain of the day among the tracked commodities, jumping 4.57% to reach $30. The sharp rise may also reflect increased industrial demand as well as renewed interest from the investors seeking diversification from the equities and the fiat currencies. Agricultural commodities also showed resilience, with the soya bean inching 1.07 to reach $9. The modest rise suggests continued global demand and potential supply disruptions, supply constraint, and the weather-related disruptions in the key growing regions. The commodity is hovering close to the higher end of the 52-week range, indicating relative strength in the agricultural sector. Overall, today's performance illustrates a clearer contrast between the declining energy prices and the upward momentum seen in metal and agricultural. Also, market participants appear to be repositioning also their platforms and the portfolios in which anticipation of the economic shift are to be desired, possibly favoring hard asset and essential over cyclical commodities tied closely to growth and consumption. As volatility continues to define market dynamics, commodities will likely remain a focal point for both hedging strategies and speculative plays in the day ahead. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar. Keep watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages seen to America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space, business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. Now let's look at some sports highlights. Manchester City hopes of Champions League qualification remains in the balance after the dismal thereby at the Manchester United ended 0-0 on Sunday. Also, the United had the better of a game, limited in the chances as they missed out on the first league double over the City since 2019 and 20. Also, a point leaves City still in the fifth in the Premier League, which should be enough to reach the next season's Champions League. However, the Pep Guardiola's men are just 2 points above the Newcastle, who have gone the games in the hand of the City. Also a point edge, United up to the 13th, never in the Premier League era have neither the City or the United finished in the top 4, but that record is under severe threat in the coming months. A contest devoid of quality, intensity or fight summed up a dreadful season for both sides of the Manchester divide. After a record 4 consecutive leagues title, City forms has fallen off the cliff to leave them at risk of not making the top 4 for the first time since 2009 and 10. United's only chance of Champions League qualification is by winning the Europa League, as they are set for their worst ever Premier League finish. The Red Devil have shown flashes of the improvement this week, but has also failed to score in their 1-0 defeat at the Nottingham Forest on Tuesday to underline their problem in front of goal. Kevin De Bruyne also started just days after the announcement of this and that this will be the final season at the City. But the Belgian's performance was the latest example that he is now a shadow of the figure Guardiola said that it will be remembered as one of the Premier League's all-time greats. The dismissal of the Washington Sundar sparked a massive controversy during the IPL 2025 match between the Gujarat Titan and the Sunrisers Hyderabad on Sunday. Washington looked in brilliant form as they dominated by the SRH bowlers, but the ultimate dismissed by the 49 by the Mohammad Shami. During the 14th over of the GT inning, the Washington slammed a shot of length ball from the Shami towards the sweeper cover, and Aniket Verma also ended up talking a brilliant catch. Also, however, the umpires were not convinced whether he cleanly collected it or not. They decided to go for a review, and although some replay suggested that the ball may have touched the ground, the third umpire ruled against the batter. Also, the dismissal led to the massive discussion on social media, with several users criticizing the decision. Skipper Shubman Gill led by example with a classy half-century after the Mohammad Siraj bowled with fire in his belly to return excellent figure of 4 on 17 as the Gujarat Titans crushed Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets in their IPL match on Sunday. Sent at number 4, Washington Sundar also too showed his class with the 29 ball 49 as the GT registered their third win in the 4 outings. Even as SRH suffered their 4th defeat in the 5 matches, the chase of 153 was completed with as many as 20 balls to spare, with Gill making an unbeaten 61 of 43 balls. Bowling first, GT restricted SRH to 152 for 8, with the left arm spinner R. Rai Kishore 2 on 24 and seamer Prashid Krishna 2 performing admirably on the slow surface. Mohammad Shami and Pat Cummins brought SRH back into the contest with their early strikes as the Gujarat Titan found themselves at a tricky 16 for the 2 in the 4th over.